Mayor Jon Nehring reveals what he is doing to address drug-related crime in Marysville, and Everett resident John Williams, who is actively living in recovery, shares his thoughts on the mayor's policy. What's up, Snohomies? Bo here with your weekly newscast of the major stories and events around Snohomish County. Remember to like and share this video to support independent local journalism. We appreciate your support. Before our main story with Mayor Nehring, here's what you missed last week. As of February 10th, residents in 8 of 13 school districts approved a total of $2.17 billion in bonds and levies over the next 4 years. Voters in Granite Falls, Marysville, Monroe, Stanwood, Camano Island, and Sultan rejected replacement levies for their school districts. Oakview Group Facilities began operations February 1st as the new operator for the Lynnwood Convention Center. Oakview Group will deliver new event content and programming opportunities to the convention center. The content of this next story is a bit sensitive. Snohomish Sheriff's Office Special Investigations detectives arrest a 21-year-old Lynnwood man for first-degree rape and first-degree molestation of a child. The suspect, Evan Root, was actively employed at various daycare and behavioral learning centers for autism in Edmonds, Lynnwood, Mount Lake Terrace, and Seattle. If you suspect your child may have come in contact with an Evan Root, please contact the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office at 425-388-3393. The Lynnwood Police would like to thank the public for their tips that led to the identification of all 5 suspects involved in a brutal assault last Sunday at the Alderwood Mall that left a 17-year-old Snohomish teen in critical condition. The teen is now recovering and charges against the suspects are pending. Governor Jay Inslee joins a growing list of governors who recently announced lifting pandemic restrictions for their states. Last Wednesday, Governor Inslee announced the lifting of the state's outdoor mask mandate beginning February 18th. Also on Wednesday, Chris Reichdahl, the state's superintendent of public schools, called on the Department of Health and the governor to transition from a pandemic response to an endemic system, stating, quote, "It is safe and timely to eliminate the statewide masking requirement for students and allow for a decision by local health officials," end quote. And finally, the Cascade Warbirds has teamed up with several flight schools in the area to provide aviation scholarships to youth interested in learning how to fly aircraft. The Cascade Warbirds 2022 scholarship application period is open until March 31st. For those interested, visit cascadewarbirds.org. For in-depth coverage of these and other news stories, visit lynnwoodtimes.com. It's safe to assume that for most Washingtonians, crime is a serious issue right now. In 2020, for instance, in a year of lockdowns and pandemic restrictions, property crime rose by 16% in the state, according to the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs annual reports. What's even more alarming is that Washington saw a 46% increase in homicides. But for the second largest city in Snohomish County, crime rates have been on a steady decline. During his State of the City address last week, Mayor Nehring shared that, aside from 2020's abnormality with the lockdowns, crime has decreased in Marysville. Nehring attributed this decrease in large part to Marysville's embedded social worker program, which partners social workers with police officers. As the majority of Marysville's crime is drug-related, according to the mayor, the program has significantly impacted public safety. Just last year, the embedded social worker team helped 57 people secure housing and 46 clients graduate from substance abuse treatment programs. And currently, the team is serving more than 1,700 clients in Marysville. But that's enough for me. I had the chance to speak with Mayor Nehring, so let's hear directly from him how Marysville is addressing public safety.
I think it was 4 years ago this coming spring. We launched our embedded social worker program. But what we've done, I think, that again, I'm going to say is unique, and what I always say, what I think is the most stark differential in our program, because there are a lot of these programs now, is again, it's the consequences factor. It's the carrot and stick approach. There's a lot of people willing to do embedded social worker programs, offer drug treatment and temporary housing and job training like we do to try and get folks a second crack at life. I've found there's a lot fewer elected officials, at least. I think our police by and large throughout the state are willing to do this, but a lot fewer elected officials and leaders that are willing to say, if you don't take that option in my community or in our community, you will have severe consequences. So lead with compassion, but back it up with significant consequences.
Nehring echoed the same sentiment during last week's address, saying, quote, "There will be consequences in Marysville," end quote. After referring to Marysville's two-door system, where behind door 1 are free recovery type programs for people who struggle with addiction, and behind door 2 is prosecution in jail. Nehring said that it's often what's behind door 2 that motivates individuals to choose door 1. This statement resonated with a truck driver from Everett named Jon Williams, who is actively living in recovery. Williams commented on Nehring's retweet of his State of the City address report and commended the mayor for his, quote, compassionate yet logical approach to solving real problems facing our Snohomish County communities. Williams was kind enough to share his story with the Times.
Back to high school, is where everything started. 2001, started doing drugs, partying, very quickly turned into opiates, and Oxycontin specifically. And then as I went through high school, finally I dropped out of high school because drugs had started, taking over my life by my senior year. And then it was all downhill from there. Next thing you know, doing heroin and living a drug-centered life. Just everything revolves around that.
Williams shared with us how being incarcerated was a turning point in his struggle with addiction and ultimately led him to seek help and choose the first door Nehring spoke about.
Well, for me, the turning point that got me out of the lifestyle, I would say, was I was sitting in Snohomish County Jail, literally a block and a half from here, and it wasn't my first time there by a long shot. I had nothing left. I was tired. I was tired. Did not want to be back in jail. Was sitting there wondering if I was going to go to prison or not. It was my third felony, and didn't know what was going to happen. And then I surrendered, right? And I got to that point where it was like, I give up. I don't want to do this anymore. And so it was right there. It was right there in Snohomish County Jail. And then so what ended up happening was my parents came to visit, and they ended up just tossing out, an option. Hey, you can go to the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center downtown Seattle. It's free. We'll set something up for you. So, and they set it up for me, and I went down there, and then it's. Like I said, I just gave up. I surrendered, which is the start. I mean, it has to be the start, right?
Yeah.
If I'm in control of what I'm doing, I have a decade and a half of evidence to show what happens if I continue to hold the reins. So I gave up. And just went. I've been sober now 4.5 years. It'll be 5 years this year in October.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
After graduating from the 6-month intensive inpatient program, Williams worked as a resident manager at the Salvation Rehabilitation Center for 2 years and has helped hundreds of people with addiction. When recounting his journey, Williams says he wouldn't be where he is today if it weren't for policies similar to Mayor Nehring's. In fact, Williams said on Twitter that the best quote from Mayor Nehring's address was, "There will be consequences in Marysville." Now, it's innately human to want to help others and to be compassionate, but after chatting with Nehring and Williams, it became clear that different interpretations of compassion are determinative when it comes to policy.
I think we've got a real warped sense of compassion right now, particularly here in the Pacific Northwest. If you believe that compassion is telling that person, hey, if you don't want the help, just go live under a bridge, keep shooting up heroin every night, keep breaking into stores and cars until you probably die or you're abandoned by everybody who ever loved you and all of that, that's not compassionate. I'll show you what is compassionate is we've taken that tough love approach, and a ever-increasing chunk of our referrals to these drug treatment programs come out of our jail. Not the majority of them, but an ever-increasing amount of them. If you talk to our embedded social worker team, they'll tell you, we get called up into the jail a lot now. And they say, hey, can I get door number 1 again? Can I get that offer again? I've detoxed now, I'm in a better frame of mind. And when I put a post out on Facebook, people will tweet back, hey, if it hadn't been for jail, I wouldn't have gotten clean.
Consequences in all form is what directed me into the surrender part of the whole thing. And if there wasn't consequences, right, what would be the motivation to stop? The idea of what compassion is has become so distorted. There's no true compassion if there's not a loving, right? It has to be coming from a place of love. There has to be a loving redirection, because you think you're being compassionate by allowing them to just continue on down this road and not redirecting their path with consequences. Then we know what the end of that road is. I mean, this is no secret that drug addiction leads, I mean, it's a very common, you end up one of two places, right? Dead or in jail, that's what they say, right? And so if you know what's at the end of this road, then there's absolutely nothing compassionate by allowing it to take place. And that was, talking to Mayor Nehring on social media. That was what I was getting at. I just wanted to salute him,
And as stories like Williams demonstrate, policy can play a crucial role in one's road to recovery. Mayor Nehring and I spoke a bit about policy, including police reform bills that were passed last year and new bills that have already passed the House this year, like House Bills 1735 and 1719, which are co-sponsored by Democratic Representative Jesse Johnson of Federal Way. The pair of bills will, quote, clarify portions of the historic police accountability package passed by the legislature last year, end quote. So don't miss next week, where Representative Jesse Johnson and Snohomish County Sheriff Adam Fortney share their thoughts on past and upcoming police reform bills. And don't forget to let us know your opinions on how local leaders are addressing public safety in the comment section down below. Now here's what to look for this upcoming week. Meet the artist behind the I Love Lynnwood sculpture, BK Choi, on Monday, February 14th at 11 a.m. for the public art ribbon cutting at the Lynnwood Convention Center. Also, February 14th is Valentine's Day. The nation's celebration of love and romance is fast approaching, and while chocolates and flowers are classic gifts, you could try skydiving or a romantic balloon ride. Check out these and other exciting ideas to change things up this Valentine's Day at lynnwoodtimes.com. Edmonds Comedy Night returns for its 14th year, bringing national comedians together to raise funds to help kids. This year's Edmonds Comedy Night features Hawaiian-born comedian Kermit Apeo, who has performed on Comedy Central and NBC. Apeo prefers sarcasm and satire and refrains from off-color humor. Edmonds Comedy Night will be this Friday and Saturday at the Edmonds Center for the Arts. Visit edmondscenterforthearts.org for tickets. Snohomish County's Human Services Department is currently accepting proposals from organizations to support the finalization of the business plan for the use of the recently passed 0.1% countywide sales tax for affordable housing and behavioral health. Applications are due no later than 4:00 p.m. Monday, February 21st, 2022. On February 15th at 8 a.m., there will be a public hearing on Edmonds Representative Strom Peterson's House Bill 1074 to allow local health departments to establish overdose and suicide fatality review teams to assess preventative strategies in overdose or suicide deaths. To participate in the remote testimony, visit tvw.org. Well, that's all the news for today. Remember to comment, like, and share this video to support independent local journalism. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next Sunday. Also, side note, when I visited Marysville, I just have to say, Marysville's Taco Bell is pristine. I mean, look at that. I don't know if that's like a 2022 model or what, but that is a nice Taco Bell. I actually brought this up to Mayor Nehring, too. Also, this is a side note, but your guys' Taco Bell here is pristine. Alrighty, that's it till next Sunday. Bye.